Ladies and gentlemen, good day everyone, and welcome to Vipshop Holdings Limited fourth quarter and full year 2021 earnings conference call. At this time, I would like to turn the call to Ms. Jessie Zheng, Vipshop's Head of Investor Relations. Please proceed.
Thank you, operator. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Vipshop fourth quarter and full year 2021 earnings conference call. With us today are Eric Shen, our co-founder, chairman, and CEO, and David Cui, our CFO. Before management begins their prepared remarks, I would like to remind you that the discussion today will contain forward-looking statements made under safe harbor provisions of the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Forward-looking statements are subject to risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results to differ materially from our current expectations. Potential risks and uncertainties include, but are not limited to, those outlined in our safe harbor statements in our earnings release and the public filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which also applies to this call to the extent any forward-looking statements may be made. Please note that certain financial measures used on this call, such as non-GAAP operating income, non-GAAP net income, and non-GAAP net income per ADS, are not presented in accordance with U.S. GAAP. Please refer to our earnings release for details relating to the reconciliations of our non-GAAP measures to GAAP measures. With that, I would now like to turn the call over to Mr. Eric Shen.
Good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining our fourth quarter and full year 2021 earnings conference call. We are delighted with our solid business performance in 2021, despite a slow fourth quarter impacted by the challenging external environment. For the full year, total active customers increased by 12% year-over-year to 93.9 million. GMV rose by 16% to RMB 191.5 billion. Notably, Super VIP active customers grew by 50% to 6 million and contributed 36% of online net GMV. Driven by steady growth in both customer base and average revenue per customer, our total revenue for the year increased by 15% year-over-year to RMB 117.1 billion. Non-GAAP net income for the year exceeded RMB 6 billion, and the net margin remained about 5%. Our solid operational and financial performance was led by continuous business upgrade based on our strategic position and as a discount platform for branded products at exceptional value. To further enhance our core competitiveness, during the second half of 2021, we focused more on core brands and high-value customers to further strengthen our value proposition with them. Among many things, we rely and upgrade various channels on our platform to better empower brand partners and enhance shopping experience for customers. We are encouraged by the business synergy generated from the initiative. For example, multiple brands recorded their highest single-day GMV in recent years during the Super Brand Day and today's Top Brand sales events. Many more brands came to us, providing our customers with more unique and price-competitive products. We are pleased to see that the contribution from core brands for the past year significantly improved from a year ago, with their GMV growing faster than the overall GMV on our platform. Through their deepened relationship with our brand partners, we were able to better cooperate with core brands on made-for-Vipshop products. In addition, to address the needs of younger customers, we also consistently added new and trendy brands to our platform. As we brought in more quality brands and products, we were better positioned to leverage integrate operations to improve customer stickiness and ARPU. In particular, Super VIP member outperformed in most all operation metrics. They have a very high retention rate, with their annual ARPU at around 8 times than that of non-SVIP customers. We expect this paid membership program to cover more high-value customers on our platform. Looking into 2022 and beyond, we will firmly execute on our merchandising strategy to secure an increasing share of quality products from carefully select brand partners. To achieve this, we will keep allocation more resource to accelerate the growth of the core brands, differentiate our offering further through made for VIP products, and introduce more popular and high-end brands. In addition, we will continue to optimize our operations. We will improve the effectiveness of customer acquisition through personalized recommendation, enrich the shopping experience, and effective target marketing for new and existing customers. We expect these efforts to collectively drive the quality and sustainable growth of our customer and revenue for the long term, while consistently delivering steady and healthy profits. At this point, let me hand over the call to our CFO, David Cui, who will go over our financial results.
Thanks, Eric. Hello, everyone. 2021 was a year of challenge and uncertainty. Despite this, we achieved a solid performance thanks to our continuous efforts in executing the merchandising strategy and refining operations. Our total revenue for 2021 increased by 15% year-over-year, driven by steady growth in both customer base and average revenue per customer, although the fourth quarter came under some pressure. Net margin attributable to Vipshop shareholders for the year remained resilient with sequential improvement in the fourth quarter due to disciplined operations, evidenced by more prudent marketing strategy through integrated customer acquisition. Going forward, we remain committed to delivering steady profitability with quality top-line growth and creating long-term value to our shareholders. Now moving to our detailed quarterly financial highlights. Before I get started, I would like to clarify that all financial numbers presented below are in renminbi, and all the percentage changes are year-over-year changes, unless otherwise noted. Total net revenue for the fourth quarter of 2021 was 34.1 billion RMB, as compared with 35.8 billion RMB in the prior year period, primarily attributable to soft consumer demand for discretionary categories impacted by the microeconomy and COVID-19 pandemic. Gross profit was 6.7 billion RMB as compared with 7.8 billion RMB in the prior year period. Gross margin was 19.7% as compared with 21.9% in the prior year period. Total operating expenses decreased to 5.0 billion RMB from 5.4 billion RMB in the prior year period. As a percentage of total net revenue, total operating expenses decreased to 14.6% from 15.2% in the prior year period. Fulfillment expenses was 2.2 billion RMB, which largely stayed flat as compared with the corresponding period in 2020. As a percentage of total net revenue, fulfillment expenses was 6.4% as compared with 6.1% in the prior year period. Marketing expenses decreased to 1.1 billion RMB from 1.7 billion RMB in the prior year period. As a percentage of total net revenue, marketing expenses decreased to 3.4% from 4.8% in the prior year period, primarily attributable to more prudent marketing strategy. Technology and content expenses increased to 443.0 million RMB from 272.4 million RMB in the prior year period. As a percentage of total net revenue, technology and content expenses was 1.3% as compared with 0.8% in the prior year period. General and administrative expenses were 1.2 billion RMB as compared with 1.3 billion RMB in the prior year period. As a percentage of total net revenue, general and administrative expenses was 3.5%, which stayed flat as compared with the corresponding period in year 2020. Income from operations was 1.8 billion RMB as compared with 2.6 billion RMB in the prior year period. Operating margin was 5.4% as compared with 7.2% in the prior year period. Non-GAAP income from operations was 2.1 billion RMB as compared with 2.8 billion RMB in the prior year period. Non-GAAP operating income margin was 6.1% as compared with 7.9% in the prior year period. Net income attributable to VIPShop's shareholders was 1.4 billion RMB as compared with 2.4 billion RMB in the prior year period. Net margin attributable to VIPShop's shareholders was 4.1% as compared with 6.8% in the prior year period. Net income attributable to VIPShop's shareholders per diluted ADS was 2.07 RMB as compared with 3.51 RMB in the prior year period. Non-GAAP net income attributable to VIPShop's shareholders was 1.8 billion RMB as compared with 2.6 billion RMB in the prior year period. Non-GAAP net margin attributable to VIPShop's shareholders was 5.3% as compared with 7.2% in the prior year period. Non-GAAP net income attributable to VIPShop's shareholders per diluted ADS was 2.64 RMB as compared with 3.70 RMB in the prior year period. As of December 31st, 2021, the company had cash and cash equivalents and restricted cash of 17.2 billion RMB and short-term investments of 5.4 billion RMB. Now, I will briefly walk through the highlights of our full year results. Total net revenue for the full year of 2021 increased by 14.9% year-over-year to 117.1 billion RMB from 101.9 billion RMB in the prior year, primarily driven by the growth in the number of total active customers. Gross margin increased by 8.6% year-over-year to 23.1 billion RMB from 21.3 billion RMB in the prior year. Gross margin was 19.7% as compared with 20.9% in the prior year. Income from operations for the full year of 2021 was 5.6 billion RMB as compared with 5.9 billion RMB in the prior year. Operating margin was 4.8% as compared with 5.8% in the prior year. Non-GAAP income from operations was 6.6 billion RMB as compared with 6.8 billion RMB in the prior year. Non-GAAP operating income margin was 5.6% as compared with 6.7% in the prior year. Net income attributable to Vipshop's shareholders was 4.7 billion RMB as compared with 5.9 billion RMB in the prior year. Net margin attributable to Vipshop's shareholders was 4.0% as compared with 5.8% in the prior year. Net income attributable to Vipshop's shareholders per diluted ADS was 6.75 RMB as compared with 8.56 RMB in the prior year. Non-GAAP net income attributable to Vipshop's shareholders was 6.0 billion RMB as compared with 6.3 billion RMB in the prior year. Non-GAAP net margin attributable to Vipshop's shareholders was 5.1% as compared with 6.2% in the prior year. Non-GAAP net income attributable to Vipshop's shareholders per diluted ADS was 8.67 RMB as compared with 9.08 RMB in the prior year. Looking forward to the first quarter of 2022, we expect our total net revenue to be between 27.0 billion RMB and 28.4 billion RMB, representing a year-over-year decrease rate of approximately 5% to 0%. Please note that this forecast reflects our current and preliminary view of the market and operational conditions, which is subject to change. With that, I would now like to open the call to Q&A.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. If you wish to ask a question, please press star one on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. If you wish to withdraw your request, please press the pound or hash key. Our first question comes from the line of Thomas Chong from Jefferies. Please ask your question.
Hi, good evening. Thanks management for taking my questions. My first question is relating to the consumer sentiment that we are seeing right now. Can we comment about how it is different in Q4 and so far right now in Q1? Because when I look at the guidance, it seems that it is a -5% to 0%, which is similar to the guidance in Q4. So just want to see if any changes in terms of our thoughts on macro headwinds. And secondly, I also want to get a sense about how we should think about the recovery momentum in Q2 and coming quarters. And then finally, that is more relating to competition. Can management comment about the live streaming online shopping competition in China and how it affects our business? Any thoughts how whether we can separate out or quantify the impact on competition and macro headwinds to in 2022? Thank you.
还有3个问题。第一个问题呢是说从 Q4 到 Q1 消费者
你可以想一点。对。
从 Q4 到 Q1 消费者的这个情绪发生了怎样的这个变化？因为他注意到我们给的 Q1 的这个 guidance 还是-5到0，跟 Q4 是一样的。
这第一个。
从这个季度上有没有什么任何的这个变化？
好。那么第一个问题就是关于消费者的，我们看到 Q4 是比较弱的嘛，因为有天气的原因，就天气不是很冷，那么另外有疫情的原因，那么我们也看到 Q1 会比 Q4 会稍微好一些啊。那么比如说，但是疫情还是持续，但是 Q1 呢，我们能看到，比如说那个蛮多地方还是转冷，那么其实 季节的因素对唯品会还是蛮关键的，因为我们的那个主要的品类是衣服。
In terms of your first question on consumer sentiment, actually, we have seen that it's really weak in the fourth quarter because of the warmer weather as well as sporadic COVID-19 cases. And in the first quarter, it's getting slightly better because the weather is getting colder. But still, we are negatively impacted by the COVID-19 cases here and there. So seasonality still plays some role in our business performance because we are pretty much apparel category focused platform.
他的第二个问题是说，我们接下来预计Q2就是第二季度的这个以及未来几个季度它的这个复苏的趋势是怎么样的？
那么我们现在比较难预测整年嘛，因为今年就是整个疫情我们相信还会持续。那么另外呢，就是包括那个整个那个用户的那个我们讲的消费的信心跟消费的热情度，那么我们其实看就是说比较难看的那个很清楚，但是呢，我们认为说整体我们认为应该在2022年吧，就相对会稳定嘛，也不会什么特别大的起起落落。
In terms of the recovery trend in the coming quarters, it's really hard to predict for now, given the many uncertainties going on. Especially, we see that there are still cases of COVID-19, and it's still too early to tell whether the consumer trend is going, whether when the consumption is coming back. But overall, we should see a relatively stable growth for 2022. We don't expect too much swings in our business performance. It's going to be quite stable.
第三个问题是说，对于我们的这个行业的这个竞争，直播平台对于我们的这个影响是怎么样的？有没有看到任何的这个变化？另外，有没有任何的这个量化的指标可以去分解宏观和竞争对我们业务的影响？
那么我们看到直播行业，那么比如说刚刚开始的时候，确实，比如说影响了一些像我们这种叫属于货架式电商的份额嘛。那么但是呢，就是我们看现在的直播，其实对我们这些货架式电商其实影响不大了，就是说反正基本也在稳定的一个阶段。所以说我们其实不担心说关于直播电商还是我们的货架电商，其实最终我们认为是只要货品好，消费者买的是货，不是说我今天要花多少时间。那么第二个就是说，如果说具体量化直播和什么的，
直播和宏观对业务造成的影响，
但这个是蛮难用直观的用数字来表达。对，因为我们说宏观有时候好，有时候也不好，那么包括直播，但我认为说相信直播对货架式的电商影响基本差不了太，那么就是说不会说持续的影响很大。
In terms of competition, we haven't seen too much change recently. We believe it's getting relatively stable. We think that live streaming platforms, they have take what they can take in the past from shelf-based e-commerce platforms. We didn't see competition is getting worse. So we are actually not worried because as long as we get the right merchandises for customers, they will always come to us. In terms of the impact from macro and competition, it's really hard to quantify because you cannot predict reliably whether macro is going to play out. But on the competition side, we are pretty sure that the impact is already there.
谢谢 Eric。
Thank you. Our next question comes from Alicia Yap from Citigroup. Please ask your question.
Hi. Good evening, management. Thanks for taking my questions. I have a couple questions here. The first one is a question related to the inventory status for the Winter Olympics merchandising. So have you been discussing with your brand partners or maybe your merchandising partners regarding the demand and the inventory situation? Do you see any opportunity that Vipshop can get some of this product that is kind of left over? And given the timing, do you think you will be benefit more for the fall and winter season later in late 2022, or do you think there could be some winter clearance activity that you can leverage later in March or the April promotion period?
他的问题主要是问冬奥会相关的这个库存我们有没有受到任何的这种好处？对有没有跟我们的品牌伙伴去谈论这方面的这个需求？对维品会来说有没有任何的这个机会？然后如果有的话，那这个机会会是发生在2022年的这个秋冬季节，还是说在这个3月到4月的促销季节会有相应的体现？
那么我们看到就是比如说像体育用品公司嘛，那么比如说尤其像国内的体育用品公司，他们在最近这1-2年的那个体育用品的生意涨得很快嘛，但是我们没看到说就是像这些体育用品公司专门为我们冬奥会比如说做一些滑雪服啊什么的，会导致说卖不动啊积压，这些等于我们讲的为冬奥会准备的都是些正常的商品，所以说我们没看到说在这里面比如说有什么品牌公司大量积压了冬奥会的衣服或者滑雪服了，那么导致明年要清库存。但是呢我们看到整体的这个体育用品的发展趋势还真的是非常厉害，就是说每年的他们的占比，那么用户覆盖度其实持续在增加。
In terms of the inventory related to Winter Olympics, we haven't seen a very strong build-up in such inventory. So we do see that sports companies have been growing their business on our platform very fast in recent years, but they do not provide any dedicated inventory in terms of such as skiing, sportswear, etc. We think that they have a normal level of inventory for sportswear. So there is no anticipation that we are going to benefit from any excess inventories related to Winter Olympics.
Yeah, thank you. Can I follow up one question on user growth strategy? So can you elaborate what are the current plans that you are thinking in terms of to help to boost your new user acquisitions later this year? Thank you.
他问的问题是说，我们对于我们的这个用户增长策略有没有任何的更新，特别是我们未来怎么样的去吸引更多的新用户？
对，我们其实在去年的时候，我们做了一些调整，就是关于在获取用户上面，我们呢更加高质量的。那么另外呢，就是我们也不乱花钱啊，因为我们担心有些钱花的不对，造成浪费。那么我们反而是在获取高质量的用户上面。我们投入，所以说我们希望我们延续我们去年 Q4 的这个策略，那么今年我们还是要大力获取新客，那么另外我们也要大力保证我们的顾客留存嘛，老顾客留存，那么我们也会在用户上面我们也会大力投入，但是呢就整体我们也是还是用这个叫质量发展原则吧。
In terms of our user growth strategy, I think from the fourth quarter of last year, we have been focused on acquiring quality users in a more efficient and effective way. We don't want to blindly spend money in all the channels to acquire low quality customers. Instead, we are trying to do it in a balanced and a prudent way through integrated customer acquisition. this year we're going to continue to invest a lot of efforts in acquiring new customers, but at the same time, we are going to improve the retention of our existing customers. We will maintain a decent level of marketing spend in new user acquisition.
Okay, thank you, Jessie.
Alicia, I add a couple more things. Number one is we've seen the number of our Super VIP increase year over year. So that's one of the key indicators that the quality of our customer base is getting better. And then we've also seen that our ARPU stabilized and have a slight increase actually starting last quarter. So we've seen that trend.
I see. Okay. Thank you, David, for the additional color. 谢谢沈总。
Thank you. As a reminder, if you wish to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone, and please ask your questions in English and Mandarin. Thank you. Our next question comes from Ronald Keung from Goldman Sachs. Please ask your question.
Okay, thank you, 沈总 David。那我先问中文，然后我翻译一下。第一呢，想听一下我们对毛利率的一个想法，因为四季度是大概 19.7%， 我看以前来讲，我们四季度一般是毛利率最高的一个季度，因为 apparel 的占比比较高。那今年的话，可能就没有看到这个四季度是全年最高的 margin， 所以我们应该怎么去想22年？就我们现在这个毛利率是应该已经足够低了嘛？就有 Super VIP 啊这些考虑，那我们应该怎么去想22年的这个毛利率的这个趋势？第二呢，想听一下我们现在这个 business 开始我感觉到一个比较稳定的一个成熟期。那我们也看到我们这个 balance sheet 也非常的强，已经 net cash 了。那如果以我们的这个 EPS 来讲，其实就想听一下我们管理层会不会想有没有计划或者会 open to 这个，比如能给派息，或者就有这样的一些有没有这些潜在的可能性？那我让我翻译一下。Thank you for taking my question. My first question is on gross margins. Fourth quarter is traditionally a high margin quarter with high apparel mix. So given this year is not the highest kind of quarter margin quarter, just want to hear how are we thinking about the gross margin trends and the implications for 2022. My second question is, as our business reaches a more mature stage and we have a very strong net cash balance sheet and a sizable earnings per share, we would love to hear management's thoughts on whether there could be any potential plans even for rewarding shareholders like paying dividends. Thank you.
那第一个问题我回答，第二个问题到时候 David 来回答。第一个问题就是我们看这次的 Q4 的时候，我们毛利率应该算低的，我们其实就 19.7% 嘛。那这次是因为在 Q4 的时候我们做了大量的促销，那么但是呢我们有不好的是看到，比如说促销下去了，我们补贴也下去了，但是呢因为天气原因啊等等啊，导致用户的购买欲望不强烈，所以说其实我的促销下去以后回报不高。那么所以说我们其实认为这次像 Q4 这种就不是以后的长期现象啊，那么我们今年也会把这个毛利率还会持续的稳健的把它做起来。那么因为这点呢我们倒不担心，所以说呢像去年的低的毛利 Q4 的低毛利率那个不是常态，不是我们今年的常态。那么第二个问题 David 回答。
In terms of the gross margin, although Q4 is a relatively lower level as compared to the full year, the same quarter of last year, it's really because of the promotions and the subsidies we did during the quarter. But however, because during the quarter the weather was relatively warmer and it didn't effectively motivate consumers to spend more on winter clothing. So the return on this marketing spend is not desirable. But the current level of gross margin is not something that we want for the long term. We will gradually, bring our gross margin to a more normal level in the coming quarters. You don't have to worry about the gross margin going ahead.
In terms of the cash use, as you know, our board has approved a share buyback plan last year. So we have executed it partially last year. And given that we made quite good profit in the year, and then we still see a healthy profitability in the coming year, in this year, 2020. So the board and the management is considering alternatives among the share buyback and the distribution of the dividends. So is within the process. We are considering and evaluating the options right now.
Thank you, Shenzong and David.
Thank you. Our next question comes from the line of Natalie Wu from Haitong International. Please ask your question.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for taking my question. I have two here. First one is following up with Alicia's last question about the user acquisition. Can management elaborate more on your latest user acquisition strategy? For last quarter, we can see that your sales marketing is quite controlled, especially considering seasonal pattern. Just wondering, any particular spending channel has been typically trimmed, branding, performance-based ad, or whatever? And what kind of the sales marketing budget you're preparing for this year? Should it be more of an absolute number or a fixed revenue ratio depending on the timing of the improvement of the economy or the consumer confidence? Just curious, how should we see the trend? And a second one is related with your Super VIP. Just wondering what's the current percentage of your Super VIP, and also the related gross profit margin profile contributed by them, because they obviously have a higher pool, which is I think favorable to the gross profit margin maybe, but in the meanwhile they are enjoying a deeper discount. So just it'd be great if management can share some color on that. 我自己简单翻译一下，就第一个问题的话是跟 Alicia 刚刚问的这个用户获取相关，想了解一下有没有可能帮我们更加的深入的这个解释一下这个最近的一个用户获取的一个策略的一个变化。那四季度的时候咱们的一个相关的营销费用其实相对于营销旺季来说的话，其实是控制的非常好的，就不知道咱们是不是哪一个特别的一个渠道是被砍了控制了预算的，是这个品牌还是效果为主，还是怎么样？那今年来看的话，我们就是更细一点的这个投放的一个方向我们应该怎么看？然后在定这个营销投放预算的时候，我们是更基于一个这个全年的预算更基于一个绝对值的呢，还是就是这个收入的一个固定的一个比率？因为我看去年这个前3个季度咱们如果按绝对值来看的话，这个其实占收入比重比这个在前一年要稍微高一些，但是4季度的时候又把这个数字给拉下来了，所以不知道这个是不是按照我们这个整一年的收入的一个 percentage 来控全年的这么一个营销预算那第二个问题是关于这个 Super VIP 就想看一下咱们现在的 Super 就这个超级会员的一个占比是怎么样了。 然后他们相关的给公司贡献的一个收入相关的毛利率是和普通的用户来比的话是怎么样的一个水平？那一方面的话，他们的 ARPU 比较高可能就毛利率的一些情况可能也会好一些，但是另外一方面的话，他们的折扣就他们享受的折扣也比较的大，所以不知道这个整体对毛利率的影响方面我们该怎么看
？OK，
好，就这两个。
第一个问题 ，OK， 第一个问题就是关于那个我们在 Q4 的时候做了一些调整，关于在用户获取上面的成本上面。我们其实今年 Q4 开始就严格用 LTV 来衡量各个渠道的获客成本跟回本的月数嘛。那么我们会发现，比如说有些新客我们回本的时间有点长，那我们就放弃那么所以说我们现在的新客会少了。那么另外呢，我们比如说要拉我们的老客复购，那么原来我们也会发券，也会用外面的广告来追它，但是我们发现有些过度了，那么我们也会去砍掉一些费用。那么总体呢来讲，我们等于今年会严格用这种 LTV 来衡量。那么包括我们做品牌的，比如说包括在电视剧在那个我们说的各种各样的短视频等等上面，我们其实都建立一个完整的模型，是完全可以用 LTV 来衡量。所以说今年我们就照这个标准，那么去掉了蛮多不靠谱的，或者说我们花钱花的过度了，那么是这样的，所以说我们导致说 Q4 的时候我们见到一些效果。那么在未来我们在2022年我们还是想继续用我们的 LTV 比较健康的回本来测算。那么然后呢，对我们来讲也不照那个额度，也不照百分比，因为我们如果说今天如果 LTV 都核算的，哪怕我们说我们那个绝对数或者比例是历史最高，我们也不怕，因为我们认为这是健康的嘛，而且固定在多少时间回本嘛。所以说我们其实总体而言呢，比原来做的更精细化。那么所以说我们相信这个就是这种叫完整的所有都用 LTV 来测算，那么相信未来给我们会带来益处。
In terms of the latest update on user acquisition strategy, I think what we do differently from the fourth quarter is that we strictly follow the LTV model to evaluate the marketing efficiency of our spending, and as well as how many days to recover in terms of new customers as well as existing customers. In the past, we tend to see it takes longer time for us to recover the spend on new customers, so we did less. And for the existing customers, we tended to send out many coupons and did a lot of advertising, but it turns out not to be very effective. So we also did less on that front. In general, we apply this LTV model in all the channels, including branding, as well as TV drama sponsorships, as well as advertising on short videos, etc. So we actually did see some positive results from the fourth quarter. This year, we will continue to use the LTV model to manage all our marketing spend across different channels. We do not look at a certain absolute number of marketing spend as well as a certain percentage of as total net revenues. As long as the LTV model shows this is a healthy way to acquire customers, we will keep doing so. So we are going to take this balanced and prudent approach to our marketing strategy.
第二个是指 SVIP SVIP 是我们现在目前的SVIP 嘛，贡献了大概36%的销售。那么我们其实未来的想法还是继续促进更多的人成为我们的 SVIP， 那么在我们上面买更多，消费更多。那么对我们而言，比如说 SVIP 的唯独的那个，比如说可能给我们带来的就毛利会低一点点啊，就是说因为比如说它可能有一点点的折扣，那么另外呢有可能退货率比别的用户会高一点点，但是整体呢因为它的整个在我们的贡献是普通用户的好多倍嘛，所以说理论上对我们来讲还是赚钱的，而且呢还是有蛮好的收益的，所以说我们其实今年会继续加强我们的 SVIP， 希望未来我们有足够多的忠诚的用户在我们这里那个贡献更多。
In terms of the margin profile for SVIP members, we've just mentioned the SVIP already accounted for roughly 36% of our online net GMV last year. In the future, we're going to continue to convert more high-value customers into SVIP members. In terms of the gross margin, SVIP members have a slightly lower gross margin than the overall level of our gross margin for the company, and a slightly higher return rate. But SVIP proves to be spent much more than a non-SVIP member. So it is definitely a very profitable model for the company. And we expect as long as more high-value customers are successfully becoming SVIP members, they tend to come to shop more and spend more.
That's very helpful. Thanks, Junjun and Jessie.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Eddie Wang from Morgan Stanley. Please ask your question.
沈总、David 总和 Jessie 你们好，感谢接受我的提问。我这边可能也2条问题吧。第一个其实也是跟库存相关的，因为沈总之前提到就是说关于运动服饰这边的库存可能没有什么很严重的问题。那我想问一下，就是说去年下半年其实整个服饰非运动类的这个需求也比较弱嘛，那有没有看到就是说非运动类的这个服饰方面是不是有一些品牌它的库存是有问题的？那这会不会导致就是说今年我们有一个就是说 destocking 的这个机会在里面啊？这是第一个问题。然后第二个就是说您之前提到就是说整个 SVIP 这个我们其实在积极的就是在这方面多做一些努力吧。然后我想问一下，就是说考虑到整个的服饰其实从去年下半年来说的需求是比较弱的嘛，那我们有没有想过就是说扩展一些其他的品类，导致就是说如果有这些 SVIP 他们有这样的购买能力，然后通过其他的品类把他们留在我们的平台上然后有做更多的这个购买，也做更好的 user engagement 那如果是有这样的这个尝试或者计划的话，这个结果会对我们整个的这个利润率水平会有什么样的影响？对，我觉得这2个问题，然后我自己翻译一下。Thank you for taking my question. My first question is also about the inventory destocking. So, Shen Zong, you mentioned that for the non-sports, apparel, there's no inventory issue, but just want to ask if there's any, the inventory issue for the women's apparel or branded apparel, given the weak sentiment of the apparel in China since the second half of last year. And if that's the case, do we have any, the opportunity for the destocking in the coming quarters? The second question is about if there's any plan for the, the category expansion on top of the apparel, given that apparel sentiment is quite weak, and if we have more SVIP on our platform, so we can, meet their demands of a different category, not just about apparel. If that is the case, what's the impact on the margin profile as a whole? Thank you.
Among our sales, the first question, among our sales, our business model is a sales of a consignment inventory. So majority of our business was done through consignment. So on our balance sheets, the inventory balance is quite small as compared to our total annual GMV. And you can also see the inventory balance is decreasing thanks to our effort to clear some of our aged inventory. And to add some color to this, And among the inventory balance, quite big portion of that is coming from of our shops and Max offline stores. So they have to carry some inventory. So take out that, and then the real inventory we carry for our online business is quite immaterial, I would say. Yeah.
OK。那么第一个问题我做点补充，就是其实我们看到那个品牌的库存呢，确实在上升，因为去年的话，那个天气原因、疫情原因，那么导致大家的库存在增加，所以说对我们其实在2022年对我们也是利好，但是呢，我们其实也不是就是纯粹那个靠库存，因为我们除了我们解决库存问题，因为大量的品牌跟我们合作做货嘛，那么所以说其实我们对库存方面我们还是蛮有信心，就是对货品的供给我们还是蛮有信心的。
Adding to David's point, in terms of the inventory from non-sportswear apparel, we do see some build-up in inventory from the fourth quarter because of the weather conditions as well as COVID-19 cases. So it's going to be a good thing for us. But on top of clearing excess inventories for brands, we also customer product offerings with some of the core brands. So we're trying to secure the best supply from our brand partners.
对，第二个问题是问标品，对吧？那么我们其实也看到，就是我们
问新品类。
新品类，那个我们其实看到，就是我们比如说服装是做的不错，但是呢，就是我们其实在解决网购的那个，比如说有些品类方面我们不够啊，所以说我们其实今年也在这些方面做调整，包括大家也看到我们的首页也会有推出叫什么会员店，就是那种叫那个标品的店，那么包括美妆馆，那么其实我们包括强化我们的这种标品的快抢，我们其实希望就是我们也要在我们的标品上面做出优势来，因为一个正常网购用户除了买衣服也会买很多生活用的标品，但是呢我们生活用的标品呢不想做到，就是说我们一定要做到有特色，那么包括我们有足够的性价比优势，那么做出爆款，做出特色，那么这才是我们唯品会的这个标品的搞法。所以说我们今年会在这个标品上面我们会加大一些力量，我们希望用户在我们这里要买更多啊，那么所以说我们就不考虑那个关于标品的利润那个毛利到底跟穿戴怎么比，其实如果在用户在我们唯品会上购买的次数更多，那么购买的件数更多，其实对我们来讲是受益者。
In terms of the category expansion, in the past we did really well in apparel related categories, but it's not enough to meet the diversified needs of a vast range of consumers. So we are really investing additional efforts in bringing more standardized products to our platform. Such as, for example, we've already built up a VIP, special store. We have a dedicated channel for standardized products. We have a very good cosmetic channel. We have the Fengqiang channel to attract a lot of consumers to come to us to look for unique offerings with competitive pricing, to look for blockbuster standardized products. So we're definitely going to increase our efforts on this front. In terms of the gross margin for standardized products, probably some of them may have a relatively lower gross margin, but it's really helping expand our brand portfolio and especially improve customer stickiness and repeat orders. So the increase in the proportion of products, if any, will have limited impact on the overall level of our gross margin. Adding to that, actually the conversion for standard products is actually higher than that of apparel related categories for the same amount of traffic. So that's something we'll look at this year.
谢谢沈总。
Thank you. Our next question comes from Andre Chang from JP Morgan. Please ask your question.
沈总，David 总 ，Jessie 晚上好。我先两个相关的问题啊，就我有注意到我们这季度还有2021年的话，基本上这个资本支出的数字是在往上走嘛。我不知道说能不能多谈一些 detail， 这是因为姗姗奥来的扩张还是什么原因？因为这个东西跟当然之后这个share buyback 还有这个发股利可能会有相关。然后另外的话就是姗姗奥来这边的话，在现在这个疫情的环境下，就是咱们好像快走到尽头，好像但又不太明确。这部分的这个扩张的计划，然后还有这边的潜力，能不能请沈总这边再跟我们聊聊？谢谢。
I will answer the first question. So in this year, 2021, our capital expenditure is about 3.5 billion RMB. So a little bit over that, half of that are actually for Shanshan, and then we also have some payments for completion of our existing warehouses, which is in the work in progress, and then also some upgrades of our technology and servers and the like. So that's pretty much the ballpark. There's no additional other expenditures. Yeah.
对，第二个问题是问那个姗姗的，对吧？
未来的扩张。
OK。姗姗其实那个运转的还比较健康，那么因为是比如说去年因为有疫情原因，导致生意比如说同比的话，我们讲的同店啊，没有见得说非常亮眼，但是呢，我们看它的经营质量，如果除了疫情会是很不错的。那么未来我们其实认可，就是像中国的这种那个大的这种奥莱啊，其实还有很大的发展空间。我们预计大概每年会继续选优质的城市，继续再开啊。我们基本上想每年大概争取开2到3个。那么我们认为，其实这种叫线下奥莱的业态，长远以来在中国各个城市，其实我们讲的都是一个非常好、非常持续、长久又健康的一个业态。而且呢，我们整体经营那个姗姗奥莱的那个利润也不错。
In terms of our expansion plan for Shanshan outlets, actually the Shanshan business is really doing very well. Although last year same store performance was relatively weaker because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but excluding that impact, the same store performance is actually trending very healthy. We believe that offline outlets is going to present a large addressable market and is going to grow very fast in the next couple of years. So we are going to continue our expansion plan, trying to add 2 to 3 offline outlets each year to capture the increasing consumer demand offline. We think this offline outlet business model is very solid, sustainable, and very healthy for the long term.
好的，谢谢管理层。
Thank you. Our next question comes from the line of Ashley Xu from Credit Suisse. Please ask your question.
谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我的第一个问题是关于我们现在更侧重这些 core brand 核心品牌，然后我不知道就是在有这样的改变之后，有没有对我们的用户行为，比如说购买频次或者 stickiness，一部分用户吧，产生一些影响。 然后第二个问题就是看到我们的 shipping and handling expense， 如果去看单均的这个成本的话，Q-on-Q 和 year-on-year 都有比较明显的提升。我不知道这个是不是跟整个行业的趋势有关，然后我们如果去看未来的成本的话，是不是应该以4季度的这个情况作为一个标准？我迅速的翻译一下。Thanks management for taking my question. The first question is about our strategy shift to focus on the core brands. Is there any impact on some users' stickiness and purchasing frequency? And my second question is related to the shipping and handling expense. We are seeing that the per order expense is increasing both Q-on-Q and year-on-year. Should we take this new level as a futures reference? Is it driven by the structural trend in the industry? Thank you.
就第一个问题我来回答，就是我们看我们今年去年开始下半年开始，应该主要也是从 Q4 开始吧，我们聚焦核心品牌，我们等于给核心品牌以固定支持，那么我们其实也那个就是说我们要不积极拥抱一般的普通品牌啊，那么包括那种差的品牌，所以说我们收到一些成效，那么尤其是像这种我们说的买了知名品牌的折扣商品的用户，那么或者做了我们类似这种叫大牌日啊等等啊，他们其实这种的复购率啊比原来普普通通的这种活动会好很多，所以说我们看到这种趋势，那么我们更坚定的说，我们其实还是要聚焦重点品牌。那么我们未来还会坚持，因为我们认为说顾客认可，那么知名品牌、好的货品、好的价格，那这是我们说的，这是用户来唯品会的主要原因。
In terms of the customer behavior, since actually the second half of last year, especially from the fourth quarter, we began to focus more on core brands. We provided the core brands with certain support in a time of a lot of uncertainties. So we do see many positive developments. For example, customers who attended the sales event in our Super Brand Day sales or today's Top Brand sales, they tend to have a much higher retention rate than those customers who didn't have the opportunity to join this event. So that actually gave us very strong confidence to continue to focus on the core brands, to provide our customers with good, high quality merchandises with competitive pricing. As long as we have the right, brand supply for our customers, they will come more and spend more.
Yeah. So we have been trying to improve our efficiencies over our fulfillment expenses over years. So the more volume we can achieve, and then the more efficiencies we can get. So as you can see, the number of orders in 2021 has increased, as compared to year 2020. So also we try that includes we try to find ways to improve our efficiency in the warehouses, and then try to reduce the number of returns and exchanges. Those will affect the efficiencies. Having said all this, we have been trying this for years, and then we believe that we pretty much achieved the optimized efficiency, and we should be able to find ways, but it's going to be limited in future. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Now that concludes today's question and answer session. At this time, I'll turn the conference back to Jessie for any closing remarks.
Thank you for taking the time to join us today. If you have any questions or follow-up, please don't hesitate to contact me. We look forward to speaking with you next quarter.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our conference for today. Thank you for participating. You may all disconnect.